Hey guys, so for today's movie review, I'm going to talk about the film Fight Club. It's a very famous David Fincher film. So believe it or not, this is actually the first time I've seen this film all the way through. I know it's everybody's favorite movie, pretty much. I know it's one of David Fincher's, one of his more notable films. There's the cover again with the bar of soap, which is pretty significant in the movie. Um, David Fincher, he's done a lot of big stuff, and I myself have enjoyed a lot of David Fincher's work, like The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Social Network, The Zodiac. Um, he's done a lot of really big ones. I know another big one that he's done that I haven't seen yet either is The Game with Michael Douglas and Sean Penn, and I know Fight Club is also based off of a very famous book, also. So in Fight Club, guys, I know a lot of people have seen this film, but I do just want to briefly go over the synopsis of what the film's about. Basically, Edward Norton is this businessman. He's not very happy with his life. He has insomnia issues. A lot of people kind of know that he has a few nuts loose. He's kind of a crazy dude to begin with, and he wants something more out of life. He's just kind of this guy that's perfectly fine in his comfort zone, but he wants something more, and he doesn't want to leave that comfort zone. He's like he said, he's up all night. He has insomnia issues. He wants something more out of life, and so he eventually meets this guy played by Brad Pitt, whose name is Tyler, and basically Tyler introduces Edward Norton to this. Um, I think Edward Norton's name is Jack in this movie because he always says, I'm Jack so and so, I'm Jack so and so. He's always talking to himself. So I think his name is Jack in this. It doesn't say. Pretty sure his name is Jack, but let's just call him Edward Norton just to be safe. So basically, this Tyler character, kind of opens up Edward Norton a little bit. He's getting him to do things that Edward Norton would normally do by himself. And, Edward Norton's always at like these seminars. He has a lot of health problems, a lot of personal problems, and he's hoping these seminars will do something for him. And really, the only thing he gets out of them is he keeps on encountering this woman named Marla, I think, played by Helena Bonham Carter. She becomes more significant throughout the film, also. And she's also significant to the plot twist that eventually happens, also. But back to the Tyler character, basically, like I was saying, he gets Edward Norton out of his comfort zone. He gets him a part of this Fight Club organization, where they're not allowed to talk about Fight Club. They're very underground about what they do. It's one of those things where people are a part of it and you don't even know they're a part of it, kind of thing. It's just such a huge thing that will never dissolve, pretty much, just because it's just so huge, and it just gets bigger and bigger as time goes on and the more things that this organization does. So basically, throughout the story, Edward Norton is almost getting to the point now where he's almost has no control of his life anymore. Tyler basically is his life. Tyler, tells him what to do, and he's very bossy. And Tyler's a very significant character in this film. And when you see the film and see the plot twist, you'll further understand as to why Tyler is such a significant character in this. So basically, it's this man trying to find his self worth, trying to figure out, if he's a good or bad person, because it's a little bit of both throughout the movie. And basically, he's starting to realize that this Fight Club is getting way bigger than he thought it would ever would be in his life. And it's just getting to the point where he has to be honest with himself and basically confront Tyler and, pursue Tyler in a way that, he eventually finds out why Tyler is so significant in his life, and he has to kind of fight that the way he would fight somebody in this Fight Club, if that makes any sense. So I enjoyed this movie, guys. As you can see by that synopsis, it's a very deep movie. It's a very complex movie. It's kind of hard to explain it without going into big details that become spoilers. And it's a really good movie. I can see why a lot of people like it. It's a good David Fincher movie. I'll get to the negatives here that I have with it. There's a few little problems with the movie that I had, and a few things that don't really match up by the time you're done watching it. But we'll get to that here in a little bit. For the positives, though, I loved how Brad Pitt's character was handled in this movie. Very unique way to approach a character, I thought. And I think it's one of Brad Pitt's better roles, specifically the roles he had in the 90s. Um, I like the way that character was handled. It definitely added more flavor to the movie for sure. I liked the messages about self worth, about fear of leaving our comfort zones, how sometimes we like our comfort zones so much in life that we really don't want to get out of it. And as a result, we don't really feel happy because we're not able to try new experiences. We're not able to do things that we wouldn't, you know, uh, that we normally wouldn't be too comfortable trying out. And I like the messages about those kind of things in life because it's a very deep movie, like I was explaining before, and things like self worth and comfort zones are very much explored in this movie. I liked all the hidden imagery throughout the movie, even the really quick, like red body shapes you'll see, like little like people standing there every once in a while. I think the comic thing with the movie, and specifically what the author said, and what David Fincher said, is, you know, you saw something, you're not sure what it is, but you saw it either way, and it's kind of a weird and a good way of how they did that, and you almost kind of look through those things, and you want to really analyze and really get involved with the movie because these images are so quick, and you're trying to figure out what they are and why they're there. And it just a lot of things to look for in this movie. And because there is a lot of hidden imagery in this, it keeps our attention pretty well in this movie. I like all of Fight Club's strict rules. I like how, you know, people aren't allowed to know each other's names. You know, they're not allowed to talk about Fight Club. If they do, Tyler hunts them down. You know, the Brad Pitt character and all that kind of stuff. And Edward Norton, when you see the movie, when I say that, it'll make more sense. So Edward Norton and Brad Pitt kind of hunt these people down when they talk about Fight Club and kind of ruin, you know, the reputation of the Fight Club. So I like that the strict rules that they established within this Fight Club. Helena Bonham Carter's character in this and her desire for love in this was played out very, very well. I almost liked the character more and more as the film progressed. I liked the way she was handled. I kind of liked how, you know, by the end of the movie, she just wants to have a normal life. She wants to have a man that's there for her. It doesn't leave her. It doesn't have like these emotional swings. Doesn't you know, it's more consistent and really has a sense of caring and love for her. And Edward Norton and you know, the Brad Pitt and all the other people she was seeing throughout the movie just weren't doing that for her. And I kind of like her quest to find what the rest of her life will be, and I really like how David Fincher really explored that with this character. Um, I also like how the organization got bigger than Edward Norton ever expected, and as a result, the film gets crazier, more complex, and it becomes more fun to watch because this organization just gets so out of hand and so crazy. And it's almost kind of like Al Qaeda in the sense that, you know, there's so many people involved with it, and so many people that you would never expect to be a part of this that are. And you know, even small things like, you know, I know I'm probably going to say no to this later, but just make sure that it still happens and things like that really are pretty interesting in how David Fincher approaches them for this movie. For the negatives, though, I will say I was not a big fan of the lighting in this movie. I think that whoever did the lighting in this film will probably never find work again, at least if I was in charge of whoever did the lighting in this movie. Just very, there was a lot of scenes in this movie that were very hard to see just because the lighting was so bad. It was just hard to see. It's like, okay, who's back there? And I think I know what that is, but it's just so dark in this room. It's just like, somebody please put some lights on. I just can't see what's going on in the scene. So I did not like the lighting in this film, and I know that's a very rare thing to complain about, but Fight Club needed more lights in their scenery because it was very hard to see what was going on in a lot of these scenes. It's sometimes confusing with what kind of narrative this film has. It seems first person for the most part. You know, Edward Norton narrates it, tells you what's going on, tells you what he thinks. But there's a lot of scenes in here that almost feel third person, and you know, Brad Pitt's kind of telling you as the audience, and it's kind of breaking the fourth wall. And whenever they do it, you just kind of the film loses a theme and a consistency and a way of perspective and how the film's going to get told. And because it really can't decide on which one of those narratives it wants to do, overall, by the time the film ends, we get confused as to, you know, who exactly is telling this story and why. Um, I think the film does feel longer than it should be. You know, for a 2 hour and 19-minute movie, this film feels very long, and it took me two different sittings to sit through the whole thing. I don't know if that's a sign that the film's pacing needed to be a little bit quicker, or if there was just a lot of scenes that really dragged on and it was just, you know, kind of hard to get from big story point to the next big story point to the next big story point because it's just such a complex movie and it's so dense. And we really got to be, giving our full attention to it the whole time, or else we might miss out on something. So it feels a little bit longer than it should. And because it is such a complex movie, by the time the film ends, our brain's almost fried just because there's just so much going on in this movie. Um, the rules of Brad Pitt's character, the Tyler character, it feels a little inconsistent after a while. It's just like, okay, well, Edward Norton's in the shotgun seat. Why is Tyler driving this, and why is Tyler instantly there and over there, and why is Edward Norton? And I know it doesn't make any sense right now, but when you see the film, there's a lot of scenes in here where Edward Norton and Brad Pitt are in the same spot, or it just kind of feels. I guess the best way to say it is there's a lot of inconsistencies with the Tyler character. And if David Fincher laid down the ground rules of what Tyler can and can't do throughout the movie, I think the overall film would have been more enjoyable, and it would be a little bit easier to follow along simply because we know now what Tyler can and can't do throughout the movie, or what he can and can't do as kind of this leader of this Fight Club. So overall, guys, I do give Fight Club an 8.5 out of 10. It's a very good film. It makes you think about life. It really makes you want to pay attention to it the whole time. Once you definitely get your full attention to it. Um, really good film. It has a lot to say, but like I said, the lighting in this film really could have used a lot of work. The narrative choices in this film were a little bit confusing at times. Like I said, it feels a little bit longer than it should have, simply because it is so complex and we're giving so much of our attention to it. By the time the 2 hours and 19 minutes are done, it's just kind of a lot to take in, to tell you the truth. And the rules of the Brad Pitt character Tyler, I think, could have been a little bit more consistent than they were. But 8.5 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it. I still think The Social Network is probably my favorite David Fincher film, and Curious Case of Benjamin Button's a pretty big one for me too. But very good David Fincher film. If you like the director, if you like Edward Norton, if you like Brad Pitt, if you like Helena Bonham Carter, very good film to watch. A guy named Meatloaf. I've seen him in a bunch of, and Jared Leto, I guess, is in this too. I've seen the two of them in a lot of other stuff. Jared Leto was in Requiem for a Dream, for example. Um, so if you like all of them, very good movie to watch. Like I said, it really makes you think. It really makes you want to give it your full attention. So very good film, but it's a little bit off as to what everybody is saying about, I thought.